Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, fellow coin hunters and history lovers. Today we're diving into a small copper coin that holds a big piece of American history, the United States 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1945. Now at first glance, this penny might look like just another old coin you'd find in your grandparents' drawer or tucked away in a jar of change. But hold on tight, because this humble little coin might just be worth more than a car, more than a college tuition, and in some special cases, even more than your entire coin collection combined. So grab your magnifying glasses and your coin books, because you'll want to pay attention to every detail of this fascinating piece of American coinage. Let's start by going back to the year 1945. World War II had just ended. The world was beginning to breathe again, and America was entering a time of rapid change. Amid the celebration and rebuilding, the U.S. Mint was still doing its job, producing millions of coins for everyday commerce. One of the most common was the Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny had been around since 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln. On the front side of the coin, or the obverse, you'll find a bold and dignified portrait of Lincoln facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1945, to the right. Depending on where it was minted, you may also see a tiny letter under the date. That's the mint mark, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Flip the coin over, and you'll see two stalks of wheat curving along the edges, hence the name, the wheat penny. Between them are the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum. The design is simple, yet iconic. For many collectors, this is where their coin collecting journey begins. Now here's where things get interesting: mint marks. In 1945, Lincoln wheat pennies were struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins made in Philadelphia don't have any mint mark at all. Those from Denver carry a small D under the date, and coins from San Francisco have an S. In terms of how many were made, we're talking big numbers. Philadelphia produced over 1 billion of these pennies in 1945. Denver added more than 266 million, and San Francisco struck about 181 million. That means the 1945 wheat penny is not rare in general. You could even find one in circulation today if you're lucky. But, and here's the big twist, not all 1945 pennies are created equal. What sets one apart from the rest? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and errors. A coin that's been in circulation for decades, scratched and worn, might only be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars to a collector. But a coin that has been perfectly preserved, what we call uncirculated or mint state, can be worth much more. These are coins that were never used in daily transactions, stored safely in a collector's drawer or in a roll, and kept free of damage or discoloration. Now let's talk about errors, those rare flukes during the minting process that make a coin one of a kind. Some 1945 wheat pennies have been found with double dies, off-center strikes, or even repunched mint marks. These errors make the coin even more desirable to collectors who are always on the lookout for unusual varieties. The more dramatic the error, and the better the condition of the coin, the higher the value goes. There are also very special examples known as high-grade coins. These are coins that have been professionally graded by third-party services like PCGS or NGC and have received extremely high ratings, such as MS-67 or MS-68. These grades indicate a nearly flawless coin, sharp strike, full detail, beautiful luster, and no visible scratches even under magnification. And now, the part you've all been waiting for, the value reveal. How much could a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny actually be worth? If you find a standard circulated 1945 penny, it might sell for just a few cents. In slightly better shape, maybe a few dollars. A nice uncirculated one from Denver or San Francisco? That could go for $20 to $50, sometimes more. But, and this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, if you're lucky enough to have a pristine, high-grade example with no flaws, or better yet, one with a verified minting error or an exceptional mint state, it could be worth up to $45,000. That's right. $45,000. For a penny. This is why it's so important to check your coins carefully. You never know what might be hiding in that jar of change or tucked away in an old box from the attic. A coin you barely notice today could be a small fortune tomorrow. Today, we're taking a close look at one of the most iconic and surprisingly valuable coins in American history, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This tiny piece of copper may not look like much at first glance, but what lies beneath its aged surface could be worth far more than you ever imagined. And if you stick around until the end, we'll reveal just how much a rare 1944 wheat penny in exceptional condition could sell for. Spoiler alert, it's not just pocket change. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1944. World War II was still raging, but the tide was turning. American troops were making major advances overseas, and back home, industry was booming to support the war effort. Metal was in short supply, copper, tin, and steel were all being diverted to make ammunition, machinery, and supplies for the military. In fact, just 1 year earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had even made pennies out of steel coated with zinc instead of copper. These steel cents are a story in themselves, but 1944 marked a return to copper. However, it wasn't the same copper used before the war. The Mint used recycled ammunition shell casings to make pennies that year, giving the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny a unique wartime twist. These were literally coins made from the remains of battlefields, turning weapons into currency. Talk about symbolic. The coin's design remained unchanged from previous years. On the front, you'll see the unmistakable profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His solemn gaze has watched over U.S. currency since 1909, and in 1944, his presence was a quiet reminder of unity and perseverance. Turn the coin over, and you'll find two wheat ears arching along the left and right edges. This is why collectors call these coins wheat pennies. Between them, bold lettering reads, 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, curved along the top. It's simple, elegant, and deeply American. Now, let's talk mint marks. In 1944, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify the mint by looking just below the date on the front of the coin. If there's no letter, that means it was made in Philadelphia. A small d means Denver, and an S stands for San Francisco. Here's a quick breakdown of how many were made. Philadelphia struck over 1.4 billion coins, Denver produced about 430 million. San Francisco created around 282 million. So, the 1944 wheat penny isn't exactly rare in general. In fact, it's one of the most common wheat pennies out there. But, and this is a big but, condition and specific minting details make all the difference. While most 1944 pennies are only worth a few cents to a couple of dollars, there are a few that are worth a whole lot more. You see, some of these coins were preserved in near-perfect condition. Maybe they were never spent, or maybe they were stored safely by someone who knew they might be valuable someday. Coins like that, especially those graded by professionals as mint state, are highly prized by collectors. A shiny, sharp 1944 penny with no scratches, discoloration, or wear can command a serious premium, but it gets even more exciting. Among all the 1944 Lincoln Wheat pennies, a few incredibly rare versions have surfaced that were accidentally struck using the wrong metal. These are known as 1944 steel cents, a bizarre return of the 1943 metal in the following year. These are ultra-rare error coins, and only a handful are known to exist. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be sitting on a small fortune. There are also other valuable errors from that year: double dies, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. These mistakes happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, and collectors love them. Why? Because they're unique. One of a kind. A fluke that somehow escaped the eyes of the mint workers and ended up in someone's pocket. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin. And if that coin also happens to be in mint condition, then you're talking about serious money. It's this combination, rarity, condition, and historical significance, that gives some 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies a jaw-dropping value. So, what's the most a 1944 wheat penny could actually be worth? Are you ready for it? A 1944 Lincoln wheat penny in immaculate condition, with the right mint mark or rare minting error, can be worth up to $49,000. Yes, you heard that right. $49,000 for a single penny. 1 cent turned into tens of thousands, all because of a little copper and a lot of history. This is why coin collecting is so thrilling. It's not just about money, it's about stories, surprises, and stumbling upon treasures in the most unexpected places. So the next time you're sorting through change, take a closer look. That old penny might just change your life. Today, we're going deep into the world of classic American coinage to uncover the secrets behind a small, copper-colored coin that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket, drawer, or coin jar, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny. This isn't just another old cent. This is a coin that, under the right conditions, can turn heads in the numismatic community and stir up bidding wars among collectors. And if you stay with us until the end of the video, we're going to reveal just how much one of these humble pennies could be worth today. You'll want to pay attention, because this is the kind of coin that could literally change your life. Let's rewind to the year 1949. World War II had ended just a few years earlier, and America was entering a new era, one of growth, innovation, and rebuilding. The economy was shifting, soldiers were returning home, and families were settling into a new post-war reality. But even in times of peace, some traditions continued uninterrupted, like the minting of the iconic Lincoln wheat penny. This coin had already been in production for 4 decades by 1949. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln wheat penny became one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first American coin to feature a real person, President Lincoln. On the obverse side. On the front, you'll see Lincoln's thoughtful profile, with "In God We Trust" arched above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the year, 1949, etched proudly to the right. And just below the date, you might find something very important, a small letter. That's the mint mark. It tells us where the coin was struck, and it can make a world of difference when it comes to value. In 1949, the Lincoln wheat penny was produced at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a small d; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Each of these mint locations had their own production runs, and while they produced tens of millions of pennies, not all coins were created equal. The San Francisco Mint, for instance, produced fewer pennies than the other mints that year, which already makes those coins a bit more desirable. But rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived, in great condition. Most of these pennies were used every day in commerce. They were carried in pockets, rattled around in cash registers, and passed through countless hands. Over time, they wore down, lost their luster, and became just another part of daily life. That's where collectors come in. The real excitement lies in finding a 1949 wheat penny that somehow escaped all that wear and tear. A coin that's been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. These are coins that were never spent, never scratched, and kept safe, often in original mint rolls or coin collections passed down through generations. And then there are the rarities, the coins with flaws. That's right. In the world of coin collecting, mistakes can mean money. We're talking about error coins, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies that occurred during the minting process. A 1949 penny with a dramatic minting error, especially one struck at the San Francisco or Denver Mint, can fetch a premium price. And when combined with a high-grade mint state condition, the value goes up even more. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC have graded some 1949 Lincoln wheat pennies at incredibly high mint state levels, such as MS-66 or MS-67. These coins are stunning. They look almost as if they were struck yesterday, glowing with rich copper tones, razor-sharp details, and zero visible blemishes. And here's the thing. While many 1949 pennies in average condition might be worth just a few cents, and some well-preserved ones might bring in $10 to $20, the top-tier examples are where things get truly exciting. So, how much could the rarest, most immaculate 1949 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? We're talking about a coin that's flawless. A coin with a strong strike, bright original luster, no scratches under magnification, and possibly even a recognized error. One of those perfect, once-in-a-lifetime finds that every collector dreams of, and that's when the value skyrockets. Are you ready? A 1949 Lincoln wheat penny in top mint state condition, paired with an ultra-rare error, has been known to sell for as much as $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. $65,000. For a single penny. That's the magic of coin collecting. That's the thrill of the hunt. You never know what kind of treasure you might find in an old box of coins, a garage sale, or even in a handful of change from the coffee shop. These coins are more than just currency, they're history, art, and sometimes, a hidden fortune. Today we're unlocking the fascinating story behind one of America's most beloved coins, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it's just a simple copper coin. You might have seen one in an old piggy bank or maybe even received it in change without thinking twice. But what if I told you that this modest 1-cent piece could be worth far more than you'd ever expect? In fact, the right one, under the right conditions, might just be worth a fortune. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll find out how much a rare 1941 Lincoln wheat penny in perfect condition can be worth. And trust me, it's not just a few bucks. It's a number that will leave you stunned. Let's go back in time. The year is 1941. The United States is still reeling from the Great Depression, and World War II is just beginning to pull America closer into the global conflict. Life was challenging, the economy was uncertain, and Americans were holding tight to their money. During these times, every penny counted. And that's where our coin comes in. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny was one of the most commonly used coins of the era. Introduced back in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. And not just any person, one of the most revered presidents in American history. The front of the coin, known as the obverse, features Lincoln's profile facing right, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Above his head, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty," and to the right, the year, 1941. Just beneath the date, you might spot a small letter, that's the mint mark, and it's more important than most people realize. On the reverse side, we find two graceful wheat stalks arching along the left and right edges of the coin. This wheat design, which gives the coin its popular name, the wheat penny, frames the phrases, 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. It's a clean, bold design that speaks to American strength, simplicity, and resilience. Now let's talk mints. In 1941, Lincoln wheat pennies were struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; San Francisco, marked with an S. Each mint produced millions of coins. Philadelphia alone struck over 887 million pennies that year. Denver followed with over 128 million, and San Francisco produced about 92 million. While that might sound like a lot, and it was, not many of these coins have survived in high-quality condition. And that's where things start to get really interesting for collectors. You see, most of these pennies were used daily. They passed from hand to hand, through stores, into registers, down sidewalks, and back again. The majority of 1941 wheat pennies out there today are heavily worn and only worth a few cents. But once in a while, a coin turns up that defies the odds. Imagine finding a 1941 penny that was never circulated. No scratches. No discoloration. Sharp edges, full strike, vibrant color, and maybe even a minting error that makes it one of a kind. That's where the true treasure lies. Errors are another factor that can drive up a coin's value. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and other unusual quirks that slipped through the quality control process at the mint. These aren't flaws in the traditional sense, they're rare variations that make certain coins extremely desirable to collectors. Add that to a high mint state grading, such as MS-66 or MS-67, and you have a coin that's not just a relic of the past, it's a prized possession. now let's talk value. A regular 1941 Lincoln penny in circulated condition? That might bring in a few cents to maybe $1. A better preserved example? Perhaps $10 to $20, depending on its mint mark. But the real stars are those pristine, gem-quality coins, often encapsulated and certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These coins, with flawless surfaces and full details, are where the serious money comes in. Especially when combined with a desirable mint mark or a unique minting error. So, how much could the finest, rarest, most perfectly preserved 1941 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Are you ready for this? Because one of these rare coins, in top condition with the right characteristics, can sell for as much as $69,000. Yes, you heard that right. $69,000. For a single penny. That's the beauty of coin collecting. The excitement isn't just in owning something old, it's in the thrill of discovery. That moment when you realize the penny you've been holding could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, more than most people would ever dream from a coin that's small. So don't ignore your change. Don't overlook that jar of old coins sitting in your closet or attic. And definitely check those dates and mint marks carefully. Because a fortune could be hiding right in your hand, and it only takes one lucky find to make all the difference. Today, we're diving into a coin that might look ordinary, but under the right circumstances, could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about the United States Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1953. Now I know what you're thinking, 1953? That doesn't sound like ancient history. And it's true, this coin isn't as old as some others we've covered on this channel. But don't let the date fool you. There's a lot more to this little copper coin than meets the eye. And if you happen to have the right one, in the right condition, with the right details, you could be sitting on something incredibly valuable. Let's start by stepping back into 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become the 34th President of the United States. America was coming out of the post-war era, moving into a time of optimism and economic growth. Television was booming, Elvis was on the rise, and the average American family was saving their pennies. Literally, during this time, the U.S. Mint continued producing the classic Lincoln wheat penny, a design that had been in use since 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was, and still is, one of the most iconic coins in American history. The obverse side of the coin features a right-facing profile of Lincoln, with the words, "In God We Trust," across the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the year, 1953, to the right. And just below that date, you may notice a tiny letter. This is the mint mark, and trust me, it's more important than most people realize. On the reverse side, you'll see two wheat stalks curved around the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above that is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This wheat design is where the nickname, wheat penny, comes from, and it was used all the way up until 1958. Now let's talk about mint marks. In 1953, the Lincoln wheat penny was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, which stamped a small d below the date; San Francisco, which used an S mint mark. Philadelphia produced the most, with over 256 million coins. Denver followed closely, minting nearly 700 million, while San Francisco produced about 181 million. So yes, these coins are common in general, but not all of them are common when it comes to value. The real magic begins when we talk about condition and rarity. Most 1953 pennies that have been circulated are only worth face value. They've been handled, worn down, and have lost their shine. But a coin that has never been circulated, a mint state coin, can be a completely different story. These coins still shine with their original luster, show no signs of wear, and have sharp, crisp details. The highest quality coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. These services use a scale from 1 to 70 to determine the coin's condition. A 1953 penny graded MS 65 or above is rare and valuable. If you happen to have one in MS 67 condition, for example, it's considered a top-tier coin that only a few people in the world might own. but the story doesn't stop there. Some of the most exciting finds in the coin world are error coins, coins that were struck incorrectly at the mint. This includes things like double die obverse, where the design is duplicated slightly, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet, coin blank. These errors make each coin unique, and collectors go crazy for them. A 1953 wheat penny with one of these rare minting errors can be exponentially more valuable than a regular issue. Pair that with a high mint state grade and a desirable mint mark, especially from San Francisco, and you're looking at something truly special. So what's the bottom line? What's the most a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny could possibly be worth? Well, after taking into account the condition, the mint mark, and the possibility of a rare error, there have been known sales and valuations that are absolutely jaw-dropping, and here comes the big reveal. A 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, in flawless mint state condition with a rare error or a high-grade certification, has been known to reach a value of $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000. For a 1-cent coin from 1953. It sounds unbelievable, but it's absolutely true. This is why collectors obsess over details, search through coin rolls, visit estate sales, and carefully inspect every old penny they find. Because treasures like these really are out there, and they often come in the smallest, most unsuspecting packages. So the next time you come across an old jar of coins, or you get change back from the store, take a close look. You never know, one of those pennies might just be worth more than your car, your vacation, or even your college tuition. If you enjoyed this journey through the history and hidden value of the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another incredible coin story. We've got many more to share, and the next one might just lead you to a once-in-a-lifetime find. Thanks for watching, and remember, never underestimate a penny. Because one lucky cent could be worth $75,000.